already present with us, and our Honorable Vice Chancellor will be joining very shortly. And we are having our IUST Vice Chancellor also with us. We are enlightened with them, and we'll be having good lectures from eminent speakers like Professor Dipanita Rai Chaudhuri Madam and Professor Devashish Chakraborty from IIT Kharagpur. And we have Professor Sriyankar Acharya, Dr. Sriparna Shaha, Dr. Pradyut Sarkar with us. So we are waiting eagerly for the our inaugural session, which will be commencing very soon.
Shrikant, can you see a screen?
Yeah, sir has joined us.
Yes.
Our Honorable Vice Chancellor sir has joined us.
Yes.
Okay. So welcome you, sir, in the inaugural session of this FDP on IoT security, to be the patron of this program and chair this inaugural session.
Thank you.
Sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor sir from IUST Jammu and Kashmir also has joined us, and the eminent speakers from IIT Kharagpur.
I can see.
Yeah, sir, all have joined us.
Hi, Professor.
Yeah.
Professor Maitra, how are you?
Fine. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Yeah. How is the climate here now?
Getting cold. You will see my clothing. I mean, I've started putting on a jacket, so obviously it's quite cold now.
Yeah.
And especially mornings and evenings are quite cold, but daytimes are quite warm. But Calcutta must be good. It must be pleasant this time.
Here weather is beautiful now. This hot and that scorching heat, that is not now present. Only this mild cold is there in the morning and in the evening. That's nice.
Yeah,
this is probably the best time of weather at Kolkata.
That's right. I was actually very busy for the last 2 months. We had a marathon selection committee meetings almost on everyday basis. So we concluded the selection of the faculty to a great extent, and we finished up hardly last week. So I couldn't attend many of the programs that I was getting invited to.
Yeah.
So
that you are understanding that you are maybe maintaining a very tight schedule.
Thank you for that understanding.
And sir, eminent speakers from IIT Kharagpur, Professor Dipanita Roy Chaudhuri in first session, followed by the talk of Professor Devashish Chakraborty in second session. Both of these speakers have joined us. Sir, we invite you on behalf of the organizing committee to deliver the keynote speech and inaugurate the FDP program.
Yeah, keynote speech is this big word. Only I can this program. Okay, this inaugural part, the formality part, I can take care of, and I can share some of my concern about this this area, particularly the subject area which has been chosen for today's deliberation. IoT security, it is the prime importance because everyone is carrying smartphone and which is having not less than 20 different types of sensors and for this capturing data from different these aspects, be it health data, personal information, many things. Your locations, everything has been captured, and Google can capture also if you are not connected to the internet. They also capture your location and all these things. So when everywhere with this emergence and appearance of these IoTs for making our digital practices, our digital exercises and digital businesses more and more comfortable and formidable, this is the call of the time that this is evident that more sensors will be there, more these data capture systems will be there, and this data will be collected, stored, analyzed for getting this meaningful information. And for this taking corrective actions and all that, or for maybe for marketing activities, for promotions and all these things. So for a lot of purposes, data is now the modern fuel of this society. And these are all the devices. These are there for this capturing all this data. That means for sucking this data from different places, and then this transferring this to maybe a big reservoir, and from there the processing and all these things that will be done for getting meaningful. And that maybe there's negative consequences associated with it. This is many times our personal information can get hacked, or maybe this we can be cheated, or maybe there's some compromises are done with these data systems, and that can create lots of security problems in a bigger way. I was reading one article of Future Vision recently, that one of the threats that the future may encounter, that is associated with the driverless cars, because most of this data that will be that will be in integrated manner, and there is a possibility that the data can be hacked, and that the driverless vehicle can be used as unarmed unmanned weapon for targeting a particular location, all these things, or maybe halting entire our transport systems, creating these locks and jams and all this. So these are consequences and negative consequences. For that, we have to be very, very careful about the security systems of our this digital world, and this IoT security is very important for in that purpose, because if it malfunctions, if it doesn't capture the data properly, that also creates a problem. If somehow we can work on it to manipulate these devices. I have seen one film of these Israeli defense systems. They are showing how to manipulate these sensor systems at your at other places, at the places of these other hostile countries, to teach them a lesson. But these are all these things. These are the costs of this technology. But now it is the onus is on us to culture these subjects in a more effective manner, to use it for the productive purposes, for the humankind, for the growth, development, and to take care of all the problems associated with the humanities. So for this, the subject is of immense importance. We need a numbers of these professionals in the coming years to take care of this challenging scenario for effective utilizations, for helping the humanity, and at the same time saving the humanity. So these for both these purposes, we need to have a numbers of these trained professionals, and we have taken initiatives in introducing different types of courses and training from our university, and this webinar is also endeavor in that direction. I believe that from the deliberation of the resource persons from Iit Kharagpur, Madam Dipanita is here, so our learner community, they will be benefited immensely, and they will be inspired. That will elicit this enthusiasm among them for taking up meaningful studies and research in this area. This is a very prolific area, this potential area for future career development, and this will be very useful for our future learners, and these faculty members, they're continuously working even in this scenario when the world is encountering these different types of situation for the last so many months, because of this virus-induced pandemic scenario, where we are embracing this digital culture more and more for our survival, for our continuation of our existing practices. In that context also, it is of immense importance. And in that situation also, what I can say that our faculties and faculties of our partner university, Islamic University of Science and Technology, or they are taking these massive endeavors for giving learning, for this propagating knowledges among the larger this knowledge community, and I wish to congratulate to all of them. And this is a wonderful these initiatives under the TechWave project. Under the TechWave project, we are partner institutes. Besides that, also we are also a knowledge partner always. Professor Siddiqui is here. He is a man of epitome of this wisdom, and many times I've encountered with him for getting these different sorts of these pieces of wisdom from him. And today I'm very happy that he is here. And my best wishes to all the learning community who have assembled here to enlighten them in this contextual, in these very important areas. And my thanks to the resource persons, professors, the Professor Dipanita Chaudhary, and any other, maybe some of the from our internal university members and IUST, they will be deliberating. And with this, I'd like to conclude, because Professor Siddiqui will be there to share his knowledge, to share his wisdom and all these things. And I wish you a very, very happy and effective learning for our learning community. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for your kind and very good speech. And I am now requesting Professor Siddiqui to give your inaugural speech from IUST. Please, sir.
Good afternoon to everybody. Honorable Vice Chancellor MAKAUT, Professor Moitra, learned speakers who will be delivering the technical talks, and the other participants, good afternoon. And I say good afternoon from Kashmir. Kashmir is this time in the autumn season, and it's a wonderful time to look at the apples that are on the trees, and we have saffron. Actually, the university which is located in the area is full of saffron this time, and you will see the saffron gardens having a typical color of that violet on the ground. So my welcome from this part of the country and the part of the world. I'm actually delighted to see the proactive initiatives of the MAKAUT and its faculty. Professor Debashish definitely needs a big applause on this issue. So he has been actually conducting during these all difficult days of COVID pandemic, the seminars, which are very relevant. And I wouldn't disagree. I wouldn't agree more with Professor Moitra, what he said about that as typical, consumer of a product. I will be always worried about my privacy. I will be worried about my security. So since not only the COVID asked us or made us to learn that everything is to be online, but these technologies, whether it is Internet of Things, whether it is artificial intelligence, whether it is data mining and machine learning, all these are going to have a big impact on the human living and human behavior. So therefore, we cannot shirk from using these technologies. So these technologies have to be a part of our life and part of our behavior, even human behavior. So therefore, under such circumstances, as individuals, everybody would be worried about privacy. I'm sometimes thinking whether through these technologies, even democracy is at risk. I'm really worried. Although I'm from the health sciences and the medical sciences, but I'm a student of politics who tries to understand democracies, liberalism, and all those things. So I'll be always worried about if all these technologies come into the existence and they will, manipulate and extrapolate our living. So whether everything that will be going in the right direction. But obviously, as I said, there are professionals, as Professor Moitra said, there are professionals who will be, guiding us, who will be looking at our concerns, our aspects of security and privacy to be maintained, all these things. So therefore, it's very important that we have a technology, but also we have a technology which looks after our humanities. I mean, our values should not go off. I mean, our privacy should not go off. Our security should not go off. So I will be looking, towards the listening to the technical talks by eminent speakers. I was just, Google searching the speakers' profiles. They're highly specialized individuals with skills who I'm sure are going to look after our concerns as general users or common users of these technologies in the times to come. Definitely, it will be something like, when the nuclear technologies came into the existence, everybody thought that it has a very good, we have a very good opportunity to produce power, but at the same time, it did produce atom bombs. So therefore, every technology has a positive side and a negative side. But the way we have controlled the nuclear technologies to the benefit of the humanity and not to have more destructive power of this nuclear technology. Similarly, I'm sure the experts and the professionals in the area of security on these newer technologies and disruptive technologies will look after that negative aspect and make us to live a comfortable life. And so at the end, I will definitely congratulate the team from the MAKAUT and the Islamic University of Science and Technology that they have been, taking best advantage of these lockdown periods when we are not able to assemble together, and we are having all these, seminars, webinars online. So my congrats to Professor Moitra and his team at the MAKAUT, and I'm sure Professor Moon at IUST is also, getting benefited, and his faculty at the School of Engineering and Technology is also getting benefited out of these. So please continue. I will hand over back to the anchor to continue with the proceedings.
Thank you very much, sir, for your enlightened speech. Now I request our Professor Shivankar Acharya to say a few words.
Sir, please unmute your mic, sir. Shivankar, sir, please unmute.
Okay, Professor Moitru, Professor Siddiqui, and my colleagues, and the participants and the speakers, I welcome you all. Very good afternoon. Actually, I am not an expert in this field. So in my opinion, in my view, when facility increases, when comfort increases, risk also increases. So IoT is a growing technology which will have a very rapid growth in market, industry, and in research also. And actually today's issue is not only IoT and security. So whenever IoT is growing, its security also are becoming a big issue, very threatening issue. So this IoT is Internet of Things. So far we were the user of Internet. Now the machines and device, they are also being the user of Internet. And they are using it smartly without our intervention or guidance. So when these machines and devices, they are active in communication, they are smartly using the Internet. So there are some persons, very efficient persons, who are not honest. They will try to intervene this network, they will try to hack, and these security issues will come. So these security issues is also becoming a growing research field. And I think our speakers are very much expert who will explain you all the issues and their source of these issues and how to tackle these issues in this FD program. This Internet is welcome, it's a connection, but we have two orders in our universe. One is explicate order and another is implicate order, in view of the quantum physicist David Bohm. So these connections, this interconnectivity, this connectedness is, we are talking in explicate order. But there is an implicate order of connections where we are all already connected. We are intrinsically connected to each other. Everything is connected to every other thing. If we feel that connection, that universal connection, that cosmic connection, then there will be no security issues in explicate order, because in that case, we will be moral, we will be ethical, and these security issues will never come. If we realize that implicate order of connectedness, but we are not going to that way. And if we go through that way, then this market will not grow. these security issues will not grow. So there is a trade-off between these two. If I go to implicate order, the explicate order market will be hampered. And the more and more people will be dishonest, and this more and more the security issue will come, and our research, our market will also grow very rapidly. So this is the scenario, and I am not an expert in Internet of Things. So I will stop here, and I will hope the program will be a success and the participants will be very much benefited from this program. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your thoughtful topic. And now I am requesting Professor Devashish De, Director Computational Science, to say a few words.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir, Professor Shoikat Maitro, and Professor Siddiqui, Honorable Vice Chancellor from IUST. And today we are just working on a topic, FDP topic, which is almost impossible to achieve. Why? Reason is because IoT, as you know that IoT is controlling all the devices. We call it also Internet of Everything. So if everything, if you think our own human world, we are not honest. Everyone is not honest. That's the reason we need police, we need security, we need the law, court, many things, right? So that is the reason that the things are basically connected. Some people are honest, some people are dishonest. So when you want to connect everything in this world, so the security is a biggest challenge, and almost it is impossible to solve. So when we are using the IoT devices, our security is always at stake. We are always compromising with the security. So the people calling it for last 4 or 5 years that Internet of Insecure Things. Security is basically we are not. It's almost impossible to achieve. Now, the question is whether we will stop using these IoT products. Already the IoT products are in our mobile phone, already in our car, in our laptops, or your microwave, your television, your car, everything we have now connected. So question is how to deal with these things. So I just want to show you that to resolve this problem of Internet of Insecure Things, some of the things are coming up in a big way. The first thing is attack. Security attack, especially for IoT, is in 3 ways. First is to take the control. First thing is to take the control. Second is stealing information. Third is disrupt the service. So when you want to take the control, basically IoT means controlling everything through internet. So when you want to take the control, all the products, the hacker can have the control, and they can control everything and anything, and the data they can steal from our own internet. We are paying for our internet, but we will be hacked by our own data, what we are paying for. So stealing of information, and third is disruption of service. Service will be disrupted. For example, our Honorable Vice Chancellor mentioned that that this car, the person who is driving a car, that can be also hacked. Someone can hack our car, they can stop our car from a remotely place. So you are driving, say, from Calcutta to Digha or any other place, the car can be stopped, or the driverless car can travel from one destination to other destination. I can remember the very interesting song of Kishore Kumar that he has.
Devashish sir, we are not able to hear you.
Devices the gateways, everyone is connected. So, we are getting a big problem.
So Devashish was going to sing a song, no?
Sir, Devashish sir?
Yes, yes.
So we missed your previous
going to
2-3
sing a
lines.
song of Kishore Kumar.
Yes, sir.
So sing that song. Let us listen that.
Okay. Yes, sir. Okay. That song is basically, I'm just an example like this, but the thing is actually happening like this. That what you are thinking, what you are getting is not same. This is basically source and destination can be changed by the hackers. So that is the reason we are working very hard. People are working very hard worldwide from the chip level design. Intel is working hard for the chip level design. That is the reason we are working on this publication. I just want to show you those who are dependent on this event. If you are interested, you can submit your proposal. That will be peer reviewed, and you can have a free publication. There is no cost involved. So Professor Joel J.P. Rodriguez, he is also part of this team. So if you're interested from this FDP, you can submit your data to my email ID is mentioned here. And we are basically working on these projects, and already we have received more than 50 chapters. That is editor-in-chief for IEEE IoT. So with this, I want to stop and hope that we'll make a secure and safe world using blockchain. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Day, for your delightful speech. And now I request Dr. Suparna Biswas to say a few words.
Good afternoon, all the dignitaries and eminent speakers, and also a very warm welcome to all the participants. So we are waiting to hear from our eminent speakers, and we have already been get an excellent overview, or rather an environment has been set with the pace. We can continue with the technical session. So I will not take any second further, and and thank you very much for all for joining this inaugural session, and also I am very much thankful to the eminent speakers for being with us. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Viswas. Thank you for your talk. Now, I request today there are two eminent speakers with us. First of them is Professor Dipanita Raichaudhuri, and second of the two is Professor Devashish Chakraborty. And so today, I'll now just speak small biodata of Professor Dipanita Raichaudhuri. Professor Dipanita Raichaudhuri has received her BTech and MTech degrees in computer science from University of Kolkata and the PhD degree from the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur. She is a professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, IIT Kharagpur, India. Currently, she is the head of the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, IIT Kharagpur. Her current research interests are in the field of cryptography, error correcting code, cellular automata, and VLSI designing and testing. She has guided 15 PhD students and published more than 150 technical papers in international journals and conferences. Professor Raichaudhuri is the recipient of prestigious INSA Young Scientist Award and Associate of Indian Academy of Science. She is a senior member of IEEE and Fellow of Indian National Academy of Engineers. Now I am welcoming Professor Dipanita Raichaudhuri. Please, ma'am.
Thank you, Shrikant, for nice introduction. I first thank Professor Moitro and Professor Siddiqui and other professors for mentioning my name as a speaker. Good afternoon to everyone, and I can start my talk with this thing. Can I start now?
Yes, start, madam.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Shrikot, it is coming? Hello?
No, ma'am, it is
No,
right
ma'am.
now not visible.
Okay.
Kindly reshare it, ma'am.
Just a minute. Just a minute.
Yes.
I think this thing. I just checked earlier and then. Coming? Is it coming?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Initially I checked and it was coming.
That time it is coming.
Just
Yeah.
Prem Kumar, share screen is off, no?
Ma'am, it is on. Ma'am has just tested just before a few
No,
minutes ago.
now no screen is shared, no? Except ma'am is trying, right?
no, I'm sharing. I'm share screen. I'm doing.
Yes,
This
ma'am.
is share screen, and then I'm coming. Just a minute. Just a minute. I just check. Is a share screen for now?
Yes, ma'am, it is coming now.
Yeah, it is coming now. Yes, ma'am, it is okay now.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I think it's coming. So this program, since I'm the first speaker, so I thought that I should give a introduction so that rest of the talks will be easy to understand for the participants. So Iot Security and Introduction, mainly I want to give the thing. And the outline of my talk is, obviously the whole thing is introduction, but again, introduction of my talk is I want to give the before I give the Internet of Things, IoT, I want to clear that Internet of everything, because what is actually the difference between Internet and Internet of Things, that I should mention. Then Internet of Things, the security issues, or what do we mean by IoT security, and what is the relation between the security and cryptography, because all of we know that cryptography security is mainly we know is the cryptography to handle the attacks or the hacking part, etc. vulnerabilities. Now I'll try to give the type of attacks normally we face, or the current day which are very popular and we are facing problems. And though here I'll try to explain that different type of many different names exist. So I have tried to itemize or classify things on the attacks on services and attacks on devices. I think it will be clear. Then software attacks, hardware attacks, and obviously the countermeasure I want to tell, so that not only the attack, how we can handle or how we can make our devices or our networks secured from the attackers. And then future of Iot security. So what will be the future of these things? This is, I thought that in this way I should proceed. So as I mentioned that before Internet of Things, I should tell the Internet of everything. So Internet, all of we know that worldwide the network, only one network is there, and that is connecting or involving people, process, data, and things. So people, connecting people is in more relevant or valuable ways, mainly the persons, and processes are delivering the right information to the right person or machine at the right time. Because mainly the internet we are using that to connect anyone at any time for any issues, this type of thing we can think. So these are the process we are thinking. And obviously data. So leveraging the data into more useful information for decision making or for any purposes. I'm not telling that only decision, because for entertainment purpose also we can communicate it. Now things. So physical devices and objects connected to the internet and each other for intelligent decision making. So now see that I'm just overall, this is the overall I have tried to tried to emphasize or try to classify it, that as if what are the objects that are connected over the network. So people, process, data, and things. Now this is Internet of everything. Okay. Overall, whatever is connected, it comes under any one of the items. Now, if I just drop people, process, and data, or instead of dropping, I can think if I just concentrate on things only. See the things, physical devices and objects connected to the internet and each other for intelligent decision making. Decision making means that again that communicating data for some purposes and etc. So this is if I only to concern these things connected or things involved with internet, and I am defining that thing as Internet of Things. So I just clearly want to tell the difference between internet or Internet of everything and the Internet of Things. So no people, no process, no data, only things, physical devices and objects. So this is first thing I want to mention, the difference between IoE and IoT. So what is Internet of Things now? So the Internet of Things is the efficient connectivity of physical devices. So devices, it can be electronic gadgets, vehicles, buildings, healthcare, many other things and other items, all type of personal digital assistants. Obviously, cell phone is one of the things, as one professor has just now mentioned. So this is the devices, many other devices. And then the network connectivity, because these are the physical devices, as just now I mentioned, these are connected or involved over the internet. So network connectivity that enables these objects to collect and exchange data. So devices and connectivity, these I am telling things, Internet of Things. So mainly these are the two main concerns about Internet of Things, not the people, not the as I mentioned processes, or not the data, etc. So that will be, will just, because just I mentioned only one thing, because current day the cyber security or cyber physical systems is another very related common term. So sometimes we are confused. So I can tell that actually the internet or cyber, that which covers all the things, particularly people, that is the physical cyber physical system. Internet of Things is only that part which considers this. Now IoT security. So IoT security is the process of securing Internet of Things devices and the networks they are connected to. Just a minute. I just. Okay. So IoT security is the process of securing Internet of Things devices and the networking they are connected to. Just now, as I mentioned, only devices and the networks. So IoT security includes both physical device security and network security. Repeatedly, I'm just telling. So this is the things that it comes under IoT security. And it spans industrial machines. That means what are the devices? That power grids. It is very important nowadays. I think if some electrical science people are there, so then everything is now is monitored by over the network. Then building automation systems, healthcare, IoT, personal digital assistants, and devices that often are not designed for network security. Because not for all applications that security was not earlier even thought of. So, but these are mainly monitored over the network and many more, I told many more. So these are currently can be over the network, can be monitored or can be controlled. So these are wide variety of machines or devices that are actually connected through IoT, and the security of those devices that mainly is today's concern. Now I should tell the relation between IoT security and cryptography. So IoT security should protect their devices from all types of vulnerabilities. And vulnerabilities, as already I mentioned, over the network, because Internet of Things. So over the network, what will be the vulnerabilities will become. And cryptography is the technologies used to fight against this attack. Okay, so this is the relation that IoT security is that it is the act or it is the process that how we can make them secure, and cryptography is the technology that will be used. And under this technology, there are algorithms, there are tools. Obviously, algorithms are there, and under tools that can be software, that can be hardware, many things are there that slowly will be. I'll try to clear. Now, these cryptography primitives used for countermeasure, because today's our main concern is the security. So not only attacks, security, how I can secure those. So countermeasure of those vulnerabilities or attacks that I will try to emphasize. So these are some cryptography primitives. I think we can think primitives are algorithms or protocols, security protocols like this, or algorithms. So like confidentiality, integrity, authenticity, a few, availability, access control. There can be many more, but these are the main, the basic cryptography primitives that are actually used. For each one, for each of these bullets, there can be algorithms, there can be protocols. So these are used, how they are used to make secure the vulnerabilities or attacks of these devices against the attacks. So these are I think this should be cleared, because many times we tell cryptography and security. So how or cryptography and network security. So mainly these are the relation between security and cryptography. So cryptography algorithms or cryptography primitives are used to make the devices secure. Now, the attacks of types of attack or type of attacks. Because our is the Internet of things, mainly that what are the types. Now see, here there can be many different type of definition. If we go to internet or some literature survey we do, we'll be seeing variety of attacks. So actually, which comes under what? So I'll try to give that thing, because that's why I defined the IoT first. So attacks on services. Attacks on services, and first we just see the attacks on services and attacks on devices. We have defined the devices and networks. So obviously attacks on devices, that will be that comes under the attacks or the security of IoT. And attacks on devices, there will be software attacks and hardware attacks. We'll be seeing that part. Now it is attacks on services. That means attacks on system software. Okay. So these are attacks on devices. These are attacks on overall. Overall, we can actually take these are the two categories. These are the two categories. Now, if I have given different color, because overall I am thinking this, but these are also very common attacks, or these are very popular names if I do the literature survey. That's why I thought that this is communication attacks and life cycle attacks. These are again these are the two things. Attacks on devices are very specific. Now, communication attacks, actually that threats the data transmitted between IoT devices and servers. Communication, and I am considering as if data are being communicated through the network. So this threats the data transmitted between IoT devices and servers. Okay, so IoT devices and what type of attacks will be there. Now I'll show that these are actually some of the things will come here: attacks on services and software attacks. That's why the color I have made different way. Because and another is life cycle attacks. In connection with or in reference with IoT security, anytime we see that life cycle attacks. Okay, I tried to define that puts the integrity of the IoT device in threat, but very simple way I can think why the name is life cycle. Because life cycle means, see, that as if some attack is, many times we call in any sense that active attack and passive attack. So actually, if we consider some of the attacks, actually that within a time frame, what I am calling the life cycle, the time frame, this is actually active, and it is worth, or this is actually very threatening if that attack can happens within a time bound. So why we are calling life cycle? That means if say I'm giving example. Say I am giving a lecture. Say half an hour. It is half an hour or 1 hour like talk. In this 1 hour, say I wish to tell some very private things or very secured data I want to communicate. Now, if who is not eligible to enter here or third party, so he can attack and say after 3 hours he can get the data. So my life cycle is 1 hour. After 1 hour everything is public. I don't care if after 1 hour it is available. So this type of thing is very crucial and very important in IoT. Because since it is physical devices and devices are active for some time, so these are sometimes this type of terminologies are used in IoT. Shulkot, if you please request the to stop the.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. So, but we'll see, actually, these are not new attacks. These are all when we'll be considering these attacks will be coming in the attacks on services and attacks on devices. So, but I thought I should mention, because otherwise sometimes we are confused, particularly in the literature, we get this type of terms. Okay, now attacks on services. Okay, attacks on services. So this is very common. That's why I thought we put here hacking. And we, the academicians, many times we don't like to tell that okay, hacking is an actual attack or it is standard. But it is, since it is a term, so I thought I should clear that thing. So this is an illegal intrusion into a computer system and on network. Just it is hacking. That means illegal intrusion. So someone who is not authorized, but try to get something from my system. Here system is, computer system means here it is all physical. It may be the physical devices. When it is a general term, I've given the general term, and see network is already there. Now every time I'll be mentioning that thing, the IoT I have defined physical devices and the physical network. So if someone tries to intrude that thing, that is the hacking. Now denial of service. So a technology-driven network intrusion. Again, this is the intrusion, but this is actually direct part of cryptography, because DOS attack, since the cryptography technology, or as I told, algorithms tools will be using. So this denial of service is the technology-driven network intrusion. There are many things. Okay, it actually not be, everything can be so separate and not so simple. I'm trying to give first definition, then we'll be seeing actually any attack can be merged with any other, and this type of thing. This DOS is very much related to integrity of the thing. Okay. Now it is malware. I think this term is very popular, and software with malicious intent over network. Software with malicious intent over network. So this is my malware. This is a software. Now, what are the examples? These are all common terms here. Always we use this virus. Okay. So virus, and I've tried, because normally in general, or always we use any term anywhere, but there are actually differences. So this virus is normally affect program files, in some cases data files. So when these physical devices, we are thinking that in the IoT, that physical devices, obviously that there must be some program files or some data files are there, and virus is the attack, is that type of attack which actually affects or disturbs, not always, or destroys sometimes. So affect means not always. This is the thing that it will only try to get the data, because not always possible. But if it even if someone is able, some attacker or it is able, he or she is able to destroy or disturb the thing, then also it is an attack. Then also it is treated as an attack. Now worms. So malicious programs that copy themselves from system to systems. Many times we tell this is also virus, but see, now there are differences between these. These are malicious programs that copy themselves from system to system. So this type of attack, again, this disturbs my normal activities of my physical devices. So this actually is an attack. Now Trojans is very, very important nowadays, is very, very important. So Trojans allows outside access into a secure network. So see hardware Trojans, software Trojans, etc. Normally Trojans means hardware Trojans, we just mean that thing. And this is very, what I should tell that it's very, very dangerous or very, very threatening nowadays. Even some countries, our neighboring countries. So what they are doing that again some hardware etc. when they are actually some vendors they put that thing in market beforehand, some extra hardwares that actually they have kept under this hardware equipment as just for attacking, so that this what will be the task, and this is called trojans. So these trojans, this allows outside access. That means whenever if some processor is like that, so some processor when it will start working, and immediately that some hardware portion of this under this processor will start doing communication outside, so that whatever this processor is doing, what type of work it is doing, or there's some processing, and immediately that all the informations are going outside. So this is actually the most threatening part nowadays. So these trojans, and this is actually one good research area. Okay, I thought I should tell what are the future research is there. Parallelly, I'll be telling. So trojans is one that this is actually good scope is here, and a lot of people all over the world are working. And so just not only that, to make trojans is also one good research, and how to destroy or how to make ineffective or the countermeasures of trojans, that is equally important. So, and again, detection of trojans, that type of thing is also very important. So actually here, this is a very good research area in the current context of IoT. Now this hoax, this is very common, that warns the user of certain system that is harming the computer. So two type of things, not all, sometimes it is actually not, it is actually the attack is not happening, but it is giving some this type of hoax or warning. And sometimes it is actually happening and it is giving reminder or some warning to the users. So this is again, we treat this as one type of attacks. Now spyware, this monitors the user's activity without consent. Without consent, that means it is not authorized. And like actually this can be what I was telling, that some software trojans actually that comes under spyware. So these are very much overlapping. I have tried to, every time I'm telling, I have tried to distinguish between these, but remember that many times these are actually overlapping, attacks are overlapping, or if I consider one attack, actually more than one attacks are working parallelly there. Like here software trojans, that type of thing, because it monitors users' activity without consent. Just now the example I gave, the processor example. So there, if someone is just monitoring what the user is doing, what type of processing it is being done. So that type of without consent, because obviously it is without consent. So that type of thing. So it comes under trojans also. But normally we call spyware also. So this is some attacks on services. Now is actually a broad area. That's why okay, later I'll be telling. So first we continue this thing that say data attack. Okay, remember that again the definition, if you think that physical devices, IoT is the physical devices and the networking, or how it is connected with the physical network. So it is communication, because it is transferring when the physical devices are connected in internet. So it is communicating or it is transferring data over the net. So data attack is data interception or data hijacked, and this is actually the comment what in blue color what I have shown. See. So this communication attack, blue color I have shown. So now it slightly comes under this data attack also, because the data is being communicated, and if the data hijacked or data manipulated say, okay, consider then the data diddling. So data alteration without authorization. What I was telling, data manipulation. So this is the term, technology, that a technical term is data diddling or data manipulation. Data theft, this is stealing proprietary information. Okay, so these are the, there can be overall, I have tried, there can be slightly different things can happen on the data. So see, this, if I can manipulate or if I can change this type of data being communicated, then actually I'm disturbing the activities or the working of the physical devices connected to the net. So that's why these are actually comes under what I told, that communication attacks, the threats, the data transmitted between IoT devices and servers, that actually comes under attacks on services. That's why I have given different color, because if I consider these two, it almost covers all the type of attacks. But mainly these are very popular terms, so I thought I should clear. So these are the data being communicated, and it is in this type of thing I can think that these are attacks on services. Now network attack. This is directly coming what the IoT, because we define that IoT is Internet of Things as the physical devices and the physical devices security and physical network security. So network interference. So disrupting the network temporarily, and network sabotage, that causing permanent damage to a computer network by deleting files or records from storage. So there are many different ways people can do. And one thing we remember always, this is not always that I should get the data, I should get some image or whatever I want. If I can disturb, if I can just stop the work or disturb the work, then it is an attack. Then it is an attack. So that's why this network interference is an attack. Disrupting the network temporarily. Network sabotage, that is also an attack. Okay, this is a permanent damage to a computer network. So this is also an attack. Now, digital forgery. This is one nowadays we call forgery attack. We don't mention digital term. Digital is common. Forgery attack. So this is actually one very, very important thing. Very, very important. And again, we can do good research here. This is actually open. I'll try to tell parallelly where the areas we can do the research. So the forgery attack, and see how this is so important and nowadays, because normally the what I mentioned, the cryptography primitives, yes, the cryptography primitives or some algorithms, or if we some protocols or algorithms we propose. So how secure my algorithm is, for this forgery attack is one of the things that I must verify this thing, or I must show that, okay, my primitives, crypto primitive, or this my proposed algorithm is free of forgery attacks, okay, or secured against forgery attacks. So this is one thing that for many different purposes, many different ways, I can actually, we can do research on this digital forgery. So what is forgery act? As the term tells, to forge a document by the use of digital technology. That means actually what is the correct document, means the correct data. This can be correct some parameters. That's why I told a document. This can be not always data. It can be data forgery. Then it is called data forgery attack. It can be some parameters used. It can be function. Some functions there. So just if we can forge that thing, that means any document, if we can forge and we disturb the activities, or just our device stop the working of device, then it is a digital forgery or forgery attack. So data forgery attack, or this is not common, but there are, as I already mentioned, many algorithmic parameters many different things I can, a function also I can forge also, I can change my function and I can do that thing, because in cryptography security, many times that one-way hash function, these are used. So that is also, these can be the different way. So here it is an open area and people can do research here. Now we come to attacks on devices. Okay, so attacks on devices, these are most important, these are also very, very important, that, and there are also some software attacks and hardware attacks. I give some example. Actually, there can be, every day people are trying for software attacks. Just I thought that if I tell the term ransomware, because just few years before it was so shocking for us and so threatening to us. So I thought all of you know. That's why I give an example. Only one example, ransomware. But there are many this type of attacks, and we don't know what people are. These are so innovative. Every day people are doing the attacks. Even we don't know. Even we don't know the countermeasure. We don't know how actually it is affecting or it is attacking our systems. So that's why, which is known, common to us, I just give an example that this, what do we mean by software attacks? I'll be telling the ransomware. So just example, now we remember ransomware. Why it is software attack? I'll be explaining. Now, another is that is the hardware attacks, or sometimes we call the implementation attacks. See, why this is very important? Because our Internet of Things, that means now physical devices, that means it is actually implemented. Physical devices are connected to Internet. Now that means it is already some hardware, some physically it is there. So there, whenever it is working, so it actually leaks some of the what I should tell, the physical parameters or some data in that sense. Like when some one physical or one chip, say one electronic chip is working, it is working, then all of we know that chip becomes hot. That means it generates power, because whenever it is working, it consumes some power, and this, it is generating heat. That means it is some power is involved there. So if we can exploit this power consumption, then if, just exploiting this power consumption actually by one chip, or in bigger sense it is a device, then what that someone can attack the device. Similarly, when whenever the chip or one device is working, it radiates the electromagnetic radiation. So if nowadays very intelligent equipments are there, costly also, but it is possible if we can collect or we can probe those electromagnetic radiation, then after analyzing those things, we can attack. Similarly, the timing attacks, that means the time needed to complete the full working of the one particular device, and in some actual cases without attack, and then by forging data, or that's why I told that it is very mix up of this attack by forging some of the software things or some different type of attacks, and then from the differences of time required, the something can be attacked. And similarly, fault attack. Fault means as if intentionally we are making some 0 to 1 or 1 to 0, because now it's a digital world and all data is either 0 or 1. So 0 or 1, that means here fault means if I can make 0 to 1 or 1 to 0, this can be treated as a fault. So this is very easy. Or something can be shorted to power line, it's always stuck at 1. It can be similarly shorted to earth or ground, so it can be always 0. So I can make permanent fault here, or flip. If I just flip, then 0 becomes 1, 1 becomes 0. These are treated as a fault attack. So by introducing those things, we have already number of attacks have been implemented, or many devices have been already. And even some cryptographic primitives or crypto algorithms are actually theoretically or algorithmically secure. Then when it is implemented, actual practical cases, hardware, then that's why name is hardware attack. That then also it is just attacked by this technique. Now it is called scan attack. Scan attack, again, this is very, very important because normally we do scan for testing. So whenever one device or some chip or any electronic goods, whenever it is marketed, all of we know that before that testing is being done. Actually, testing cost is the major cost in some making a device. Actually, it is more than 70% cost is testing cost. So normally this scan is being done. Scan is one of the important tool that for testing. So now for when this attack, if we consider or cryptography point of view, the scan which is normally proposed and being used all over world as the testing tool, that becomes a boomerang for security point of view, because normally overall, okay, I'll be telling that thing. So this is called the scan attack. That means this scan test, what we normally do for testing the chip, etc. And that itself, that means the testing tool becomes a boomerang for cryptographic attacks or these IoT attacks, I should tell. Okay, so this is overall the attacks on devices. I'll try to give so at least these software attacks, as already I mentioned, there are many softwares. Even we don't know who are preparing what type of attacks and for what purposes. One thing we remember that many different attacks are very particular or very specific for some devices. That means, what does it mean? If one attack is successful for one device A, it may not be successful for device B. For device B, some other attack is successful, which may not be successful for device A. That means these are very device specific or algorithm specific or actually activity wise. So that's why we understand that there are variety of software attacks, and since already we have shown that physical devices is a wide range, widespread. So different attacks are every day people are doing. Almost we don't know maximum, and that's why ransomware is one common. Now all of we know. Just I take that as the example, that what do we mean by software attack, how actually it works. But as I mentioned, many different ways it can work. Probably many of you know this is a malicious software and block access unless a ransom is paid. Why the name is ransomware? Because one fine morning I saw that my I cannot work in my laptop, and then someone asks some ransom, and if it is paid, then it will be okay, repaired. So that's why the name is. How it works? See, it's very funny thing, and why I'm telling funny, because normally cryptography, as I mentioned, you remember when I give the difference between or relation between IoT security and cryptography, I told that cryptography technologies are for securing the IoT devices, or to prevent or to resist or to combat the IoT attacks. Okay, so encryption is one such cryptography primitive, comes under crypto confidentiality. Okay, so encryption. Now, that means according to my relation, that encryption should be used to resist or to prevent the IoT attack. Okay, encryption, because cryptography is used for that. Now see, here encryption is used for the attack only, not for preventing the attacks. Okay, how? That's why I told it is funny. So it encrypts the victim's files, making them inaccessible, and demands a ransom payment to decrypt them. So encryption normally, which is we use for securing this thing, for preventing, resisting attacks, here that encryption is used for attack. This is used for one attack. So it encrypts the victim's files, and then since it is encrypted, so it cannot be used for the normal purposes. Then just to decrypt them, that ransom is used. That because key is not known, that which key is used for encryption, which key is used for encryption. So if you give the ransom, if you pay, then only it will be decrypted. So this simple thing, concept-wise, which is it's a simple. So this simple thing is used. So again, in details, at least I should tell, the ransomware infection can spread to a user's PC if the user, any server or any device I can take, which has processor. Okay. So opens an infected email attachment, clicks on an infected link. This I told normally the way that we have faced the few years before, we faced the problem. So, but actually this attack can be used anywhere. This click on infected link, install an infected app from the third-party app store, visits a legitimate website that has been infected. What are the different ways that our devices can be infected with that thing? So infected email attachment, many of us face this problem. This is a very common problem. So someone see, it is so simple to infect or to attack, because someone will send you the email attachment. We don't know, we just open, and immediately it will be affecting my device. So clicks on an infected link, same similar thing. Many times the link is there when we particularly we internet surfing, we do net surfing, and always we just click the link. We don't know which one is affected or which one is malicious. We don't know. Now this installs an infected app, similar thing nowadays, and probably this is very important nowadays again, because now any iPhone etc. we are using, and number of apps, government level app, this thing is available, and they're telling. And I think many apps are very dangerous that it actually cuts fund from your the banking, your account, that it will be, and it is happening actually, particularly nowadays that for e-banking, the etc. This is very dangerous. Many people are facing the problem, so we must be very careful about this thing. So visits a legitimate website that has been infected. See, every time these four I told, there can be many, and every time we are doing all these four things. Okay, and these I have kept as a ransomware infection, but probably you understand these actually any software attacks. This can be any different type of software. Not all should be these email attachment. Not always that only the encrypt thing would be there. This email attachment, other type of software attacks can be implemented. Similarly for that link, similarly for app or that legitimate website, this is similar thing. Just I mentioned for that ransomware that any type of software attack that can be spreaded, or that can be, this can be actually the attack tool or the attacking way that this can be done. And actually we don't know, we are anytime anything is happening. Okay, so countermeasure, at least we should try, because all of we know ransomware was finally it was possible to nullify or that thing. So countermeasures, that how to defend the PC from ransomware. But again, I'm telling, since this is known, that's why I am using this term, but this can actually relevant or applicable for any other software attacks. So use of security software to protect and detect. Okay. See here, actually the characteristics of that particular attack or the nature of the attack is very important, because this security software that you will be using. Use of antivirus. See, all of we know that which is very good today's scenario, after 1 year, it will not work. So actually, that's why I told we don't know when day to day, every day some new things, new attacks are coming. And again, these attacks are very specific for one device to another device. So that's why it is. So that's why always this should be up to date. That whatever antivirus 5 years before or 2 years before even, which was good, that may not be working or applicable today. So keeping the system watcher always switched on, running manually a full scan of the PC. These are actually, I should tell that some something we should follow, but that doesn't mean that it will protect us from the software attacks. And delete the infection file ransomware if detected, and reboot the PC. So this is the main thing, if detected. That means this is again one research area. This is again many all over world, many groups work here, that how to detect whether any software or malicious software exists in your PC, or in any malicious software are actually it is somehow it is communicated to your PC, like what I mentioned as a attachment, email attachment, as a link, or somehow, I mean, or app, using app, I mean, in different way. Particularly internet is the source of that thing. I should tell internet is the source of this software attack. Okay. Now again, if we can continue, so get the latest updates of Windows operating system. This is very, very important, because this operating system every day they are actually updating the thing. So as I mentioned that some attacks, or even some prevention, or some tool, the security tool which was earlier good, it was working nowadays. So one is operating system, particularly Windows operating system is every day it is being updated, and so improved. So always we should do that thing, because normally updated means they are taking care of the at least what are the known attacks available. Okay, because now the ransomware is not possible, because already it is taken care of. So many Microsoft's updates fix specific security issues. Update all the applications that run frequently, and not only the operating system, but other programs running on the PC needs to be kept up to date. One thing I must tell, not here I'm telling, since I'm telling software attacks, so operating system, but parallelly that actually there are different processors. We know the ARM processors, etc. So that are they are also again every day they're considering these things and trying to, because there are many processors where actually cryptographic now cryptographic algorithms and tools that are already implemented. Even cryptographic instructions are available. So they're not, as I'm mentioning, only for operating system, but actually for hardware also we can update it. And that's why the new machines are coming in. The processors, we can also get the secured processors. Okay. Now I should tell the hardware attacks. Again, nowadays this is very, very important, because again I repeat every time whenever I'm coming to one attack, I just repeat that hardware attacks, because it is devices, physical devices. It is already implemented. As I mentioned, that hardware attacks, or sometimes we call implementation attack. So most আমি একটা পরে কথা বলবো, আমি একটা লেকচার দিচ্ছি। So most cryptographic algorithms are theoretically or computationally secure, but their implementations may be vulnerable. Okay. Because when it is actually implemented, only for the implementation issues or practical cases that becomes vulnerable. And this is one thing you see, that a side channel is the source of information that is inherent to the physical implementation or primitive. And light, sound, power, something I already mentioned, these are called side channel. That means when one device is working, it is in active mode, that time many physical parameters actually it leaks. It is leaking. Like what it is leaking? It emits light, it generates sound, it consumes power. And if we can exploit these physical parameters, then actually we can attack many things. And this is so successful. So as I mentioned in the first bullet, even the algorithms which is implemented here, the algorithm is secure, the theoretically, mathematically secure. But when it is implemented, see, it always emits it. As I told, that one chip, if it is working for 1 hour, then obviously it becomes hot. So it is emitting heat. Then similarly, it consumes power. It emits light. So all these type of thing, if we can exploit, and these are called the side channel attack. So SCA exploits such vulnerabilities, and these are implementation based attacks. So this is called the implementation attack or the hardware attack. This is very, very important nowadays in terms of IoT. So say this is any hardware, this is one implementation. It is written smart card, but this can be any type of, as I mentioned, some personal digital assistance or some device, any physical device here, and cryptographic device, and this is mathematically robust. Why I am telling cryptographic device? Because already, even if it is, the algorithm used is secure. Now, it is cryptographically secure. That means I give some plain text. But now from IoT, in terms of your IoT, Internet of Things, as if it is working. So it is some input is coming. Instead of plain text, we can think this is for encryption I show. So this is input, some output it is going. And since it is secure, so at least I am giving some secured parameter called key. Okay. Now what will happen? When this IoT device, it will be working. It is, see, so many physical things that it is leaking. This is my input. It is working actually. It is active. Now it emits light. Okay. It generates sound. Electromagnetic radiation. It radiates. Then it power consumption. So we can actually measure the power. We can probe. Then this is a slightly different thing, fault. That means we can somehow manually we can flip some of the lines that as I mentioned, that can be treated as a fault. So this type. So information is leaking in many different ways. So sound, it is leaking, light, power, electromagnetic radiation, and this is as if forcefully we are making fault. And then from analyzing this thing, this is slightly different from all this type of, as if forcefully I'm flipping something, making fault, and then the faulty and the actual output we are analyzing, and we get some leak, something we can do. So this is called these are the different thing is called the side channels. So these are side channel viewpoint. Now this is power attacks as a power consumption, if we can measure. Then radiation monitoring attacks, that electromagnetic radiation it does nowadays, that all this type of very costly machines are available. So very intelligent equipments, we can actually probe, or we can collect these radiation things. Then acoustic attacks, that regarding sound, the acoustic attacks, this sound we can measure. Then scan chain based attacks, as already earlier I explained, that which is scan tool, which is used for scan chain, is for testing purposes. It is must all over world. This is, or in industry also, this is the tool is being used, and that becomes a boomerang for attack, for this IoT attack. Then fault attacks, this is also actually manually we inject a fault, or we flip some lines, 0 becomes 1, 1 becomes 0. Then we analyze both the faulty and the correct one, and analyzing those things, we can do that thing. So information, main principle is information leaked by these side channels can give useful information about the secret key. This is the idea. These information, and these are the different way that information can be leaked. And this is very, very successful, very, very successful. Okay. So these are already I mentioned that hardware, there's these smart cards or some FPGA, again the technology in the device, this type of FPGA is being used, the hardware. And already smart cards, it is some memory is there, and this is okay. Now we can this, I give the principle that normally this power, these are the power consumption, and see how we can make this is the secret information, how I can get. Okay, I just tell that thing. So procedure is that gather power, many power consumption curves. Okay, assume a key value, divide data into 2 groups, calculate mean value. So some good algorithm is there and tested, and it is working nicely. It's just what it attacks, which is actually secured. Even current standard, the cryptographic encryption algorithms, that actually is all broken in this implementation method. Okay. I mentioned one thing actually in Iit Kharagpur also, in our lab actually we have broken this thing. We have set up, and many years before, I think almost 10 years, 12 years before that we have broken. So these are power attack. Okay, just overall this is the concept actually. If you just in the oscilloscope, you get this type of thing, high, this is a peak and highest peak. How actually it can be determined. See, just I say quickly, I tell that this is the power consumption differential curve, and see with incorrect key guess. That means if it is incorrect, you will be getting everything same. But if one is that correct key, it is there, then you will be getting a peak, this type of peak. The differences between that all zeros, and this is one type of model. There are many models are there. These actually we have used. So in this way, just analyzing, everything can be attacked, but it is difficult. The setup is also very costly, that very sensitive oscilloscope is necessary, but is possible. We have in India, long before we have done that, now it is another 2-3 institute or even industry they are using, but almost 10 years before we have done this type of thing. So it is possible. This is electromagnetic power analysis. That means, see, if you have one device here, see, this is one laptop, and if you get the power, electromagnetic power, and you analyze that thing. And one good thing is that earlier what I have shown, the pure power analysis and this electromagnetic radiation, this same model works actually. So this is one good thing. Again, timing attacks. So running time of cryptographic algorithm can be used as an information channel. So this is overall. These are all research area. I'm giving the thing because these are again a big area. So I'm mentioning. So these are, we can work here actually. Anyone can work who are interested. Now, fault injection techniques. Currently, this is the main. We are all working. Currently, I'm doing research here, or at least 3-4 of my PhD scholars are working here. So this is fault injection. Again, how we can inject fault? There are laser light. There's some equipment, but very costly. But we we have done different, very almost with no cost, some other technique we have used for this, using variations in the external clock. We have implemented something. So these are the different ways actually we can flip. We can inject faults, X-rays, electromagnetic flux, white light, temperature, many different ways. So any one of the area people can work. Any one of the area we can do research. These are all open. And currently these fault injection techniques and fault attacks is, I think, the most threatening for IoT devices. And people are working all over the world. Many groups are working. In India also, there are very good groups in Kharagpur also. And so we are doing this thing. Okay, I think it is written, though, if you can work, you can do something. This is one research area. And then scan attack. These, as I mentioned, normally for testing purposes, scan chain are the universal thing. But what is the, just quickly I can tell, this is a chipset, and the scanning you can do. This is a device, what I told, stream cipher, etc. Because I have shown for cryptography purpose, this can be as a device. Now I can scan in, means I can some test data I can give, and with a block it works. And then this scan out, that means here the output we can check. That means in this process actually we test that whatever we are giving the input, and based on that the functioning of this device can be tested. Now adversary can input key, and this particular input it can be put, and since the internal state can be taken out, so that is an attack, and based on that we can, this whole thing can be attacked. Here also, this is actually, this attack is first time we proposed. So this is, we proposed the attack only. These attacks is actually we have proposed in India, and later it is popular, it became popular to other people are using. So again, we have done this type of thing. So overall, countermeasures. Now you remember what I told that cryptography, what are the relation between IoT security and cryptography? I told that cryptographic primitives or cryptographic algorithms, protocols that can be used for countermeasure or to prevent, to resist the IoT attacks. This is the relation, simple, very simple. So now, so this for confidentiality, authentication, access control, forensics, device protection using passwords, these are actually my cryptographic primitives. Many different algorithms are there. Encryption, lot of encryption algorithms are there. So these encryption algorithms that can be used to prevent attacks. I think it is clear, simpler. Authentication, number of numerous authentication algorithms are there. Different algorithms. And this is digital signature, is we know this is for authentication, it is being used. Many different algorithms are there. So we can use this thing for preventing my IoT attacks. Similarly, for access control, for forensics, again for passwords, using password device protection using passwords. This is very common. All of we know that we give a password for a particular device. So these are actually the techniques, or the how cryptography security is being used, for why it is called the IoT security, because not any algorithm or any function can be, we cannot tell that it is secured. Okay, so this is for, there are many properties, many cryptographic properties are there. So in all these techniques, this is again, it goes to cryptography research. So these are the algorithms will be used for IoT security. That's why it is very much related. Okay, so in some sense, very broadly, I can tell that cryptography, that actually the practical application is IoT, because these we can use. Okay, these I just omit. All of we know that cryptography. So these things are used for these attacks, these algebraic attacks, statistical attacks. These are all what I want to mention, that these are all applicable for my IoT devices, etc. And then cryptographic algorithms are being, we can use. Okay, and these side channel attacks already I mentioned, and there are many different attacks. This one gross thing I want to mention. This is very, very important, because this is currently is a common tool, the masked encryption. That means not only because many encryptions are also attacked, as I already mentioned, because here we have attacked here all over world, this side channel attack or hardware attack, implementation attack. This is very threatening, very much threatening. So now what the countermeasure people are doing, that people are doing the masked encryption. So it's the most popular countermeasure. So again, this is one research area, totally new state-of-the-art research area is this. So randomly generated mask. Random means no one can predict. The overall principle I'm telling. So if you want, you can work. Similarly, countermeasure remote authentication. So we can do, this is again very, very important nowadays, because over the network, many we can remotely we can control many devices. So they are actually we can if we can embed remote authentication, then actually that can become a countermeasure. So a mechanism to authenticate remote users over insecure communication networks, and basic techniques that what a user knows, such as passwords, what a user has, such as smart cards, tokens, what is the user is, such as fingerprints. Again, this is an open research area that anyone can work now. Now, future of IoT security. So far, what I mentioned mainly the different type of attacks. First, I explained the what we mean by IoT, the attacks, and how cryptographic algorithm, how it is related to cryptographic algorithms, and mainly how the cryptographic algorithms are used for securing this attack or preventing, resisting. So nowadays, this is the future of IoT. So these are the things researchers are thinking that it may come up, that in the future. Already people started the blockchains in IoT security. All of you know that now this is the e-currency is come up, that Bitcoin, etc. So blockchains in IoT security, this is one part. Then the data provenance for sensor information, reliable and secure transport mechanism. This is always true. Some software defined network. This is mainly for securing network. As already I mentioned, just now I mentioned the remote authentication, that how we can do that thing. Because if someone is authenticated, like every day we are doing the password we give, this is one type of authentication. So password is nothing but entity authentication we can do. Okay. I'm giving my password. Okay. Then remote attestation mechanisms for IoT devices. This is also coming very fast. It is coming in here. Threat modeling and risk maturity assessment frameworks. This is also related. I thought I should give, because this is also related, and because nowadays, okay, again, many other new research areas are coming here. So these are the future of, people are thinking like that. This is future. So researchers are thinking that it may be the future of IoT security. Okay, thank you. So any question? Question?
Thank you, ma'am. We are looking for the question. For the participants, if you have any questions, please put it in the chat box or in the question section.
So Prem, hello.
Hello.
Prem, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There will be one forum for the question answer, no?
So one question is there in the question answer section. Can you see that?
Yeah, okay, I'll check. Does cryptographic algorithm affect on computation of device?
Again, please repeat, Vishaka. I cannot see. It is in chat box.
No, not. It is in question answer box downwards.
Okay.
So I am repeating, ma'am.
You please repeat.
Yeah. Does cryptographic algorithm affect on computation?
Again?
Cryptographic algorithm effects on computation of device.
And does cryptographic algorithms affect
On
the
computation of device.
computation of device?
I do not know what.
What do you
Does
mean by
cryptographic algorithm affects on computational devices?
oh, okay, I got. Device is computational devices. That means device does some computation. Is it?
So I do not know. So some anonymous attendee has written.
Okay. Whoever you please ask, no problem. That you are telling that that type of device which are doing some computation, whether cryptographic algorithm affects that thing.
Might be that one only.
Any type of computation, any type of device, whatever be the function, if you see that there are scopes for attacking, or there are scopes for there are some vulnerabilities, then computational algorithm can be useful. It is immaterial whether it is computational device or it is doing something different. That's why the Internet of Things, because this, whenever we have we remember the second slide I mentioned, that is a wide variety, the different healthcare, these competition of everything is there. So it doesn't mean which area it is working. Okay, if you have that type of application, that something can be attacked, or people can attack those things. Okay, then only you can use.
Ma'am, next question. What is software-defined networking?
Okay. What is software-defined networking? Actually, I think many of you have done this network you have read in your computer science course. Okay. So there are always that for network that for communication, for successful communication, we use that different type of softwares. Okay, and these now for security purposes also, so that we can use or we can develop some softwares for that. So these are actually SDNs, that software defined networks are mainly that type of thing. Okay.
The next question, ma'am. How electromagnetic waves are used for hacking?
Okay. See, whenever say some chip or some device is working, it radiates electromagnetic radiation that we cannot see. So there are some costly equipment, but it's very intelligent equipments are there that it can actually collect or probes the radiation. And then that type of radiation, that is some different type of equipments are there. So if that radiation in some physical, you see, like power, how we can measure power. Okay, with that we have to VI, the voltage and current that we have to measure in we have to make a circuit and this thing. Similarly, that when this electromagnetic radiation you can do. So actually, see, last slide I told electromagnetic power. That means you can map to this thing to the power. So that's why I mentioned that the model that is used for power analysis, the power attack, the same model is used for electromagnetic radiation attack. That means first, with the intelligent equipment, you have to catch, you have to collect all electromagnetic radiations, then you have to make that thing as a physical power, like we do using circuits we measure. We have to map using, and then we have to apply the power analysis. This time we should call electromagnetic power analysis. Again, if some of you are interested, this is again a large, it's a research area, and you can read, and this is lot of works are being done now in this area, because over the power analysis, this is very advantage and very good, because for power attack, at least you have to handle, you have to get access of this device. But for electromagnetic radiation, no need to access this thing, because it's a radiation. So even from a distance, you don't have any handle, you don't have access, but you can actually collect the powers. You can catch the power, electromagnetic radiation. So that's why currently it is actually more useful, or people are using, than power attack. Currently, electromagnetic radiation attack is more popular, and your smart card, particularly this credit card, etc., are all broken. Now, whenever in a petrol pump we give, normally the similar petrol pump or similar the mall we go, and we use our same card, and then actually using electromagnetic radiation, I think number of cards are actually attacked, and this type of equipment is already actually in the market available. So this is again one very good research area to plug in.
So, ma'am, another 2 questions, but 2 are similar kind. So one, Nimisha Pandey asked in the chat box that please elaborate on connection between DOS attack, means denial of service attack, and compromising integrity of the system. And another question, anonymous attendee told, what is the connection between denials of service attack and integrity of the system?
Okay, okay. Because it will take some time. Very simple way I'm telling. Denial of service attacks. Yes, I give you an example. And the integrity. I actually mentioned that this is very much related. Okay, just I'm taking example. So I am sending, say I am communicating, okay, with some student or with Shoikot. So now I have sent something, and after say one session, say after 10 minutes, I deny. I have denied that, okay, I have not sent. I am not communicating with Shoikot. Okay. Then what is the problem? Problem is very dangerous, because that time it may happen that actually earlier who was communicating, he or she is not mine, or I am not communicating, or it may happen that someone has actually, when I were actually communicating with you, someone has forged another thing. Remember the the data forging, etc., the digital forged data. Something has happened, or any other things may happen. That means whatever I actually communicated to you, but that is getting manipulated, or some attack has happened. Okay, because I actually, this is denial of service. That means that someone is doing. So now you see what is the integrity. Same integrity, what you read in the database, etc., everything is same. So the integrity means that actually that whatever earlier I have used, and earlier say some security key I have used, and say now since it is becoming manipulated or someone is denying, so the key is different. So the data communicated in the earlier session and data communicated in the current session, that are actually should not be integrated. Okay, so that is hampering your integrity. So that's why denial of service and the integrity attack almost same, or at least for the similar concept it is being used. Okay. So with this example I'm telling, but you please read, because this is again another. Actually, whatever I told, many things I told in this one appear. I think at least 20 different research area I mentioned. So please read that thing. Okay. These are only I told in this one.
Okay, so ma'am, till now there are no more questions, but if they are asking the questions over the forum, so I'll send it to you. We'll send it to
yes, I'll try, but I cannot guarantee, because many times it is very difficult. But okay, you please send, I'll try.
Here now, Prem, there is no question, not till.
No, sir. If we find out any question, then we will take it to later on.
Otherwise, there is no question. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Shekhar. Thank you all participants. Thank you for your attention. I don't know how much I can tell, because many things I told, but see, this is very, very important area, very challenging and interesting. So if some of you are interested, you can do work. I tried to tell that current research area. These are very, very current. Is the state of the art techniques. So you can do the research. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So Professor Dipanita Rai Chaudhary started from scratch and started the basics of security and different attacks, and she has discussed different research areas also in a very lucid language. I hope so the participant and our faculty members will be helpful for that one, and participant benefited for that one. So I am thankful to ma'am that she has permitted time in her busy schedule and came over here. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Okay, I'm leaving, huh?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Okay, now I introduce our second prominent speaker of today. Today I will be discussing about Professor Debashish Chakrabarty. So presently Dr. Debashish Chakrabarty is serving as a professor in the Department of Mining Engineering, IIT Kharagpur. He is also associated with the Advanced Technology Development Center as well as the AGV Center Research Laboratory of the Institute. He completed his throughout the studies from IIT Kharagpur only. He has done his BTech from IIT, MTech also from IIT, and PhD also from IIT from 1993, 1995, and 2001 respectively. He has done for a postdoctoral agreement on collaborative and distributive VR with numerical FED engine at the backend for different application in hazardous geo-resource industries and safety aspects in automotive industries in Germany. His basic research interest span of rock mechanics, mapping, innovative methods in geo-resource engineering to autonomous and intelligent system. He is a member of several professional bodies like IEEE and others. He has completed several research-funded projects in the area of autonomous navigation, image perception, SLAM, controls ML and DL for different tasks for autonomous vehicular motion and trajectory planning, in addition to conducting several high and research-oriented projects in the areas of mining engineering. He has worked on the VR, AR, XR application in various industrial problems. He has extensively worked on different image processing projects using underground, terrestrial, airborne, and satellite imageries. Working experience of optical, multispectral, hyperspectral, and radar imaging system and products makes his expertise unique. Currently, his future research is focused on actual implementation of the theoretical concept of sensor integration, IIoT, artificial intelligence, big data analytics, etc. to practical field prototypes, which is really challenging because many of these concepts are either not experienced or beyond the limits of normal textbook, that is applied AI research. He has received many awards and scholarship. He has successfully guided 50 PhD students till now in different associated field of his work, which is very, very upcoming areas in the imminent time. He has published more than 70 journal papers and approximately the same number of international conferences as well. He is on the editorial board of some of the international and national peer-reviewed journals. He has been in the organizational committee of members of several international and national conferences of good repute. He has a wide multidisciplinary expertise and work experience on these new and innovative approaches for solving complex problems of higher scientific and technological focus. Now I am welcoming Professor Chakrabarty. He will speak on software-defined network, security aspect, and some implementation issues with RPI. Sir, now Stage is
Yeah.
yours.
Thank you, Dr. Shaikar. Thank you. Thanks to the organizers, Dr. Sarkar, Dr. Sulyamasti, and others from University of Jammu who are co-hosting. And good evening to everyone. Good evening to attendees. Let me see if things get to be faster. So let me. Yeah, is my screen visible to you all?
Yes,
Now?
that is visible, sir.
Yes, it is visible, but some noise is coming from your background, sir.
Okay. Just a moment. Is it okay now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so good evening to all. So today I will just take you through the components of software-defined network, the security aspects, as well as some of the issues of implementation. This is with respect to the IoT security. So as I work on, I am not an expert who is so theoretically, groomed up, but then I consider myself as, implementer, a field engineer or field technologist, scientist who can bridge the gap between the theory and the implementation, which is a huge task. So before coming to the software-defined network, let us have some idea about the existing IoT components and the connections between them with our normal world. So what is Internet of Things? We assume that all of us can be categorized, as previous speakers have told. Even in the inaugural, I was there, I saw people have told that we are having not only human beings but also non-living beings into consideration who use network, who is the internet. But if I go one step below, any device, any non-living item, we want to have its details. We want to have its awareness in terms of the situation wherever it is. So that calls for a huge task in terms of whatever we say as geo-referencing. So we want to know where it is, when it is, and in what state. So it calls for all these six positioning DOFs, degrees of freedom, as well as their velocity, acceleration, and the time. So all these contribute to 18 plus 1, 19 degrees of freedom to be computed if we just assume it as a single point mass. So in that connection, Internet of Things is having, of course, the basic idea that it's about connected devices, systems, and things. It's about data from the things, and it's about new insights into the process. And we more or less focus on things which are controllable. Yeah, there were of course discussions that there are things which are beyond control, which cannot be achieved, because however we make the system prune, it's bound to be infected. And once we can take steps only once it is infected or attacked. So the additional task of IoT or data-driven interpreted technology is to come up with a collaboration and analytics sitting on top of the data. So collected data and the transforms are used to come up with some process model, decision model, business model that has some analytics to sit and gain some new insights. And there where is the importance of our big data analytics and AI tools, which comes into play. Okay, so as of now, interconnected operations technology and information technology, these two get interconnected to enable machine to anything or everything. So machine to machine or machine to man or machine to anything, communications and collaborations. So that's what is the focus of our IoT. So now if I look at the building blocks of IoT, what are the main IoT building blocks that need to be secured, that need to be protected from proliferation or attacks or something like that? So it's something like the steps of visualization, steps of IoT cloud platform, the connectivity, the edge computing, and IoT endpoints. So all these have the data, application, communication, and users. So everyone has to be protected, which is a very huge task, very huge game. But unless we start now, we cannot reach the end. So if I talk of applications that are present and visualize the findings and the key performance parameters of the process. So it's an open ecosystem for partners and suppliers to come up with feeding the data, storing it in a central storage space, analyzing it, and coming up with decisions and pattern analysis to be used for the process. Now, the next is operations and control of the IoT infrastructure is very important, and the central data storage, contextual enrichment, big data analytics, and deeper machine learning tools, tuning the data. Tuning also includes pruning. So there should be a filtering that it should go through it for getting the proper insights of the process. And these insights need to be mapped to business or decision of the process. The connectivity, it's the ubiquitous, reliable, and secure communication technology for all endpoints and edge devices. So they all should be connected, and they all should be protected from any type of attacks. And the edge computing and IoT endpoints are very, very essential. Let me see the edge computing, the processing unit sitting on the same physical entity. Example, it can be a car or machine or turbine, aeroplane or building as the IoT endpoint, and it translates the OT protocol, operation protocol to transfer protocol to an IT protocol, so some TCP IP. So that's what happens in any transducer, so which has to be fairly safe and attack free, robust. And this has the preprocessors of the data and also called the edge analysis, which are beyond my scope of this presentation. But of course, the real-time analytics and in-band analytics are very useful, which I'll get back at the end. And the IoT endpoints are the distributed sensor or actuator system, which are very, very vital. So that's the key point of all my concern of task. I probably find that Dr. Shaikot read along about it for me, and then my focus is coming up with an autonomous or driverless system or autonomous and intelligent system, which can be used as a driverless car. AGV is autonomous ground vehicle, which I am working with, or a rescue robotics, which can be used for different rescue operations. And now robotics has a lot of applications, which we have seen over the past years. So if I see the security technologies and the platforms that have started taking up, so the most important thing that we should see is the gradient which it's moving. So since 1975 to 2000, approximately 10, it was, or 2005, it was not so gradiented, but now it has become completely vertical. So that's the projection which is coming from the Gartner group of different types of security technologies, endpoint security, security of the gateways, mobile security, cloud security, SMS security, SDN security, and IoT security. So IoT involves the whole gamut of everything that is integrated together, working and serving for a particular service, a particular decision or process. And yeah, so the category-wise distribution, it says in the automotive industries that if I see the industry-wise, every industry has seen some or the other drastic improvement and change, excluding some having lower, but others have very high, degrees of acceptance and change. So the most thing has come up in the automotive or autonomous systems industries. Of course, there are consumers, generic business, and some other business verticals which use the IoT. So what are the security challenges that IoT systems face? We can see that with the advancement of our awareness of the system and the awareness of the leakages existing in the system, we have come up with improving our own modifications also. So way back in 2015, it was just utilities, smart meters, manufacturing industries, transportations, and other verticals which were under the purview of IoT. But now there are utilities, smart meters, manufacturing, and government institutions, transportation, and other verticals have also joined the same race of utilizing the IoT and its security. Of course, the automated teller machines, airline automated check-ins, and connected cars, which are we can say we are going to attain a state where we will be communicating to our environment through either our gestures or audio or visual signals. So not only connected cars but connected components. That's the aim. And Google has predicted that by 2021 we will be in a virtually connected digital world. So we have everything available with us as we move. So we don't need to go back here and there and get things, pick up things from anywhere else. So the new devices with new capabilities have also come up and are coming. So sensing devices, sensor technology has seen a quantum jump in the last few years, I would say 10 to 15 years. Computing, also the similar one. Communications have also seen the similar type of jumps. I'll say both the computing and the sensing have seen enough advancement in the last few years. And there were, of course, some security cases, some attacks which became very famous. So car recall attack of July 2015, the visa stressors in January 2015 and January 2014, and Linux released from November 2013. These were some of the stories where people started looking at the security cases in more depth. So problems of security challenges still remain and will remain, but we expect that these will be coming up with a wider knowledge, with a wider awareness to a state where we can attack, or we can reverse attack those attacks and come up with a good solution. So what are the problems of and security challenges? Many small devices have limited CPU power, so people may find those durations when the power is off and they can do anything with the actual devices. So we are more worried if it is a case of driverless car of losing power. So we must have a energy management system, which should be sufficient for making all the system components up and running, providing all the necessary data for it to autonomously run. So IoT is a very integral component of autonomous ground vehicles, or even autonomously moving drones, or a collaborative system, collaborative distributed system of ground vehicles and aerial drones to achieve a particular goal. So this not much processing power for security, but need to look for new encryption schemes with less CPU power. So once I just joined towards the end, and someone was asking whether encryption will have some problem with the computation units. If I understood the question correct, I think yes, because you have to decrypt the system, the information at the other end to utilize it. Okay, so we will see how it's coming into reality, and some CPUs are so small that it cannot install some of the softs which are needed. So IP addressable, so light bulbs, they have something which has this problem, had this problem. IoT also needs both encryption key management and identity management, and it may scale into billions. So that's another additional task to keep the systems safe. These challenges, again, they have new devices for the endpoint security. So it's, as I was saying, we have a legacy system of devices which are not advanced, which do not have the new attached device, new attached components inbuilt into them. So how do I have those also within the boundary of security? So new firmware or embedded OS or new software need to be developed, and it is not possible to support on every device. So the new transport protocol for making new security becomes really difficult. So that's a challenge, and much more network traffic for security analysis is needed. So that's not good news for large enterprise-wise network for security, as it's very complex and cumbersome. So what are the actual 7 IoT risks, security risks? Like one is the DDoS or DOS, and the next is understanding the complexity and vulnerability of the attack, IoT vulnerability of the management, identifying and implementing security controls, fulfilling the need for security analytics capabilities, modular hardware and software components, and rapid demand in bandwidth requirement, not only bandwidth, in the computation requirement also. So we have seen these standard risks that are enlisted from the standard sources. So if we talk of the autonomous car or a car, which is having multiple components which are themselves needed to be always on, needed to be functioning properly, and needed to be communicating with the actual vehicle bus for understanding or allowing or helping the controller of the vehicle to take proper decisions. So the typical IoT infrastructure is the IoT device, which can be anything, but I have put the car because autonomous car has the lots of components. The IoT based components work there, and one of the important aspect which I told I should get back is the data components are huge depending on the type of sensor that we use, number one. Number two, the time component or the real-time computations are very, very essential. And number 3, the correctness of the data. So the data should not be at any time false or attacked data. What happens in a normal autonomous car is it's fitted with, say, optical data, optical image camera, image capturing device, a radar image capturing device, a LiDAR image capturing device, and both the radar and LiDAR can be 2D or 3D. Then a positioning device, which can be an odometer or a GPS IMU integrated system, or both, or multiple such units. And the actuators, along with a communication bus. Sitting on top is a controller or a processing unit, which again communicates with the 3 main functionalities that are the actuators or accelerators, brake, and the clutch. So if we are talking of an electric vehicle, so clutch maybe just neglected, but we have 2 functionalities, and we have to take a decision about finding its position, its localization aspects in both 2D and 3D, coming up with the prediction of the path, so knowledge of the path planning aspects, avoiding the obstacles in the path. So it has, because the vehicle has life inside, so we have to take care of the life. So that's why the time criticality of these systems are very, very essential. And we have to save the lives. Nothing is more critical or more crucial compared to human life. So we cannot take the risk of losing them. And the third thing, last thing, is the feedback. How, whether I have taken, I was supposed to take a steering angle of, say, 10 degrees, whether it has actually taken 10 degrees or not. So that's the calibration or the ground truth. So these have to be done in real time. That is the challenge. So if my data is attacked, so I am lost. So we need to have all these within our control, number 1. So my controller should not be fed, or rather should not be attacked, or should not be fed with false radar data or false LiDAR data where there is no obstacle existing in the road. But so that's possible. That's possible. So people are trying to safeguard the system from all such attacks. So this is within the vehicle. So there's another scenario on the road. On the road, I have not a single vehicle, but I have multiple such vehicles, and maybe in this autonomous vehicles will be okay if all the road flying vehicles are autonomous, which is very difficult. And in maybe next 20-25 years, we might reach there. But for some time, it will have a hybrid, some autonomous and some manual, some semi-autonomous type of vehicles flying. So it's very difficult to keep track of everything where things are dynamically changing. So there's another thing that comes as a challenge to the sensor network that is working in a small vehicle, and in a network of such connected vehicles is the long range and the short range obstacles in terms of path length and in terms of time, whatever. So these are the challenges that are existing in the autonomous vehicle area. with respect to IoT infrastructure. So if I come back, so this is the typical infrastructure where there is a control server and I have a configuration app. So as I heard that someone was saying, yeah, I can remotely stop my car if it is burglary has happened, some car has been stolen, so I can see and I can stop. Yeah, that's possible. That's doable in my car, in my laboratory car. We have the autonomous vehicle, so I can see where the car is, and if I can see that it is not any of the authorized drivers who is commanding the car, I can ask it to stop. And even I can ask it to come back to my place remotely. So that's possible, that's doable. But everything, as was being discussed, has both bad and good edges. So this is a good edge, but the bad edge is it might be used by anti organizers, anti institutions in a bad manner. But a typical infrastructure calls for a remote control app, which connects again to the server, and then the server is connected to the car, and also a configuration app can closely monitor the car. So attacks can be a false control server. So someone can have a server itself, mimicked, which is getting connected to the car, and the car is getting driven by the instructions or decisions coming from this false control server. So this is one of the challenging parts which we feel needs to be controlled. The another attack, typical attack, is attack on device on open ports. So this is very, very typical. So with any existing legacy system, we can have this implemented. So this can be also on any industrial or manufacturing system where they are functioning in an autonomous way, autonomous manner. So the car gets directly connected fake device, and that fake device gives obviously fake data, and then it's getting driven by the fake commands. And the typical attack, another is attack on server open ports. Yeah. So the server is getting controlled by an attacker, and then he manipulates the decision parameters such that the the fake, which is the IoT device system, gets wrong message and gets into some accident scenario. Another typical attack is steal confidential credential data. So I do not want to harm, but this is something like, yeah, I just want to replace the remote controller by someone who actually steals the confidential message or decision parameters and replaces them by his own. So he is actually building up data repository which is being analyzed by the system which is on the IoT device, but bypassing the decision parameters and feeding it with his own decision parameters. And another type of typical attack is injecting bad configuration of firmware. So this is the most typical attack which probably Professor Dipanita Roy Choudhury has told you. So these are the firmware level of modifications which I was listening to her towards the end, that we need to always keep upgrading and updating the firmwares. So we need to see that these are updated so that we get to have less attacks. Another thing is another typical attack is sniff data and hack the private network. So we can have a sniffer sitting on the network, and sitting on the network, it sniffs the data which is otherwise supposed to be very, very closed in terms of any leakage or any attacks. So the private network is between the car and the controller, but another public hacker hacks that private network and fiddles around with the data at the data storage or the controller control server level and generates chaos in the system. So these are the different typical processes which calls for security scenarios in any autonomously running an intelligent system, which is data or sensor driven. So having this, let us again go to the Iit security issues. So Iit security issues, all of us know the insecure web interface or insufficient authentication authorization problems, lack of transport encryption, privacy concerns, and insecure software firmware available, which are very common, very deadly. And the others are insecure network services, insecure cloud interface, insecure mobile interface, insufficient security configurability, and poor physical security. So the whole list of all the 10 are actually OSAT 2014 declarations, which all of us know, which I have enlisted, but I skip them. Looking at the issues, I think I will get back to some of them which are really interesting at a later point of time, because those are very simple standards which anyone can see from normal textbooks, but correlating to them to actual implementation level is the challenge, and where it comes to the readiness level of the technology and the implementation or configuration. So if I look at the IoT technology, the simple taxonomy has different issues which we should just have a browse through. So the IoT security, the security event analysis, has a lot of issues connected to it. If I see the security by platform, it is the cloud security management, network security management, or endpoint security management. They call for different levels of protocols or different levels of approaches to be formulated. My focus is mainly on the endpoint security. That's what I have focused on, and I can say that whatever be it, I am trying to protect the data, whether it is a raw data, processed data, or the data that are coming up from one or the other interpretations. Okay, so I will be willing to have my data much more secure. And the other IoT functions, say they can be legal issues and compliances, they can be prevention of threats and risks, data security and privacy protections. So those other aspect of data security is on the top. So the endpoint security and the data security. So endpoint security is the devices which are the data generators, and on the top I have data security and privacy protection, where I use this data for classifying or decision making and many various other types of processing. So these are two important things which are very, very essential, and they all need to be done almost on a very time critical or real time mode to keep the system working. So the device which is used is also playing an important role. So I just take an example of malware. So malware that turns the network devices running Linux into remotely controlled bots, and that can be used as part of the botnet in large-scale network attacks. So this is also one of the cases. Primarily targets online consumers devices such as IP cameras and home routers. So we have problems with the cameras in the cars, where the cars might have tried to use some sort of IP configurability or processing capability to the cameras, whether it is an optical camera or a radar camera or any other type of devices, and then that can be also broken up by or attacked by some of the malwares. in August 2016, this was for the first time found, and then the consequences of losing the data, control over the data, were very severe. And this malware used in DDoS attacks. So in 2017, it was on Krebs2 on security side, which reached so 620 gigabits per second to 1 terabit per second attack on web hosts of France. And there were similar instances of this, but after that, people have tried to come up with, making it more, available to society for applications. So we use some of the open code for, proving or protecting the system from such attacks. And here it comes to the use of, another type of architecture, which I say is SDN, software-defined network. So software-defined network has some applications which it's something like I try to integrate the IoT systems using a different type of network OS. So what is a software-defined network? So this is actually an idea of having an OS of working on a network. So why did this come into play? So that is also important. So to come up with understanding the use of software-defined networks, let us see what are the limitations of the existing networks. The limitations of the existing network are they're difficult to perform real-world experiments or real-world applications on large-scale network of connected components. And these connected components can be anything, man, machine, any item, with lots of inherent limitations. So research stagnation on is a huge costly equipment to and the generation or recreation of the network to be set up by each team of research were not possible. Networks have remained the same for almost many years, and the rate of innovation in networks is slower as protocols are defined in isolation and they lack high-level abstraction. So that's what we should appreciate, we should understand. And then there's, of course, a closed system of operation. So it's very difficult to collaborate meaningfully due to lack of standard open interfaces. And of course, it's vendor dependent. Vendors starting to open up, but not coming up with any meaningful outcome. Innovation becomes limited because of the partnering and conflicts that maybe normally arise, and huge barriers in new ideas of networking and going ahead with the calculations or computations. So another way I can say that we cannot dynamically change the network conditions fitting the scenario. Once the network is finalized, it remains as it is. So the currently applicable network, whatever it is, it has millions of source codes and millions of small devices or gates, or the minimum some computing facilities available, and they are having some complex connections. So these connectivities remain the same. They cannot be dynamically changed. So what came up is an idea of an operating system and OS for network. So network operating system, so that has some control programs, and the operating system has specialized specialized forwarding architecture or hardware. So forwarding packets for different architecture. So we can divide the components of the network into broadly two types of or three types of planes. So most of the most important of these planes are the data planes and the control planes. So data planes, the processing and delivery of packets are taking place, they take place, and based on the state in the routers and the endpoints, we get different types of different types of protocols followed. So it can be TCP, TCP/IP, or Ethernet, or something can be put into the data planes component, and then we can have a control completely as a ideally is another plane sitting, which is establishing the state in the router. So determines how and where the packets are getting forwarded, routing, traffic engineering, or firewalls and all. So separate control plane and separate data plane entities can be formulated and have a programmable data plane available, where I can maintain or control and program the data plane from a central entity, and that is the control plane software called the controller. So it's mimicking this type of scenario, and then architecture to control not just the networking device but an entire network. So whole of the complete network is supposed to be controlled here. So this type of system has come up as a software-driven network system. An architecture of this is something like control programs, and then the global network is controlled. Within that, I have the network operating system, and that is controlled via some open forwarding interfaces, controlling the different packets which are getting forwarded between the system components using different protocols. So this is the idea. So we have the sensors, actuators, gateways on one side, and the different IoT applications on the other side, where the SDN can be used. Smart cities or smart lighting, as air control of air pollution smartly, smart roads. Everyone has some inbuilt intelligence or reverse floods. So all these systems have come up in the recent days. So what is the need for SDN? So people may ask, what is the need for SDN? So so this is the architecture. So variable alternate network architecture that splits the network control and forwarding functions, enabling the network control to become directly programmable. And the underlying infrastructure is abstracted for the application and the network services. So these are the two layers, three layers: application layer, control layer, and infrastructure layer. So the directly programmability is one of the advantages. It's very agile, it's centrally managed, programmably and programmatically configured, and open standard based and vendor neutral. So this is what is the most important. These are the most important features and advantages. Okay. What we now want to see, what is the need for SDN? So it actually gives you more flexibility in terms of having innovations in the network. The layered architecture with standard operating interfaces can be achieved. Experiments and research using non-bulky or non-expensive equipment is possible. So it can be easily tested. More accessibility, since the software can easily be developed by more number of vendors. So it's vendor neutral. And it's more flexibility with the programmability. So if you are willing to have more flexibility in architecture, you can get it done by higher levels of abstractions or higher levels of programmable control, and ease of customization and integration with other software applications. It's very easy because somewhere the system is a particular software agent which is working between the devices or on a device, so I can get it connected easily, integrated easily, and program a network versus configure a network. So that is what you can achieve easily, a balance between these two to achieve the most optimal architecture. So the application plane, the controller plane, and the infrastructure plane, they get connected to each other by a well configurable and programmable, easily interconnected mode. So the connection between the application plane, the SDN tools or the business applications, with the control layer, the SDN controllers or the network services, all services can be controllers. So that is through some programmable APIs, and below the controllers it's the infrastructure, the network devices, and that gets control and data plane interfacing. So one of the most widely used interfacing is the OpenFlow, which is the which allows flow table in different along the different components of the network, which can be switches, which are actually the hardware, the routers, and establishes a shared management of the traffic flow. So you can optimize the flow, or you can optimize the utilization of battery, or the energy that is being consumed by different parts of the network or components of the network. So for my vehicle, we have a battery management system, so I can optimize the battery use by looking at the past usages of the devices, their load capacities, and use some AI or ML based predictors to control the battery or the energy. So this becomes so easy. So and the communication of switch with a controller, so that is easily done. So flow table with an action associated to each flow entry to tell the switch to process the flow. Secure channel connects the switch to a remote control process called the controller, and the OpenFlow protocol, which provides an open and standard way for controller to communicate with a switch. So these are the inherent advantages of the SDN, where we have the OpenFlow available with us. And then the network architecture, as I said, is having the layers. So the bottommost, the infrastructure layer, sits over it is the controller layer. Control layer sits over is the application layer. And the infrastructure layer is the foundation layer, consists of the physical as well as the virtual network devices, such as switches, the routers. All the network devices will be able to be implemented, and they will implement the OpenFlow protocol to implement the traffic routes, forwarding routes, how the data traffic is taking place. The control layer, this layer consists of the centralized control plane, which is decoupled from the physical infrastructure to provide the centralized global view of the entire network. And the layer will use OpenFlow protocol to communicate with below layer, that is the infrastructure layer. So on top of infrastructure layer sits the control layer, and above the control layer lies the application layer, which consists of the network services, applications, and the orchestration tools that are used to interact with control layer. And it provides an open interface to communicate with other layers in the architecture. that can integrate, so that can be configured depending on my situation and my need. The use, even it can be use driven. So sometimes I do not use the optical sensors. So I do not want the battery to be used for that time. So I can idle away the optical sensors and stop the battery being drained out for maintaining the optical data. Sometimes I do not want the GPS and the IMU or gyroscope data, so I can stop that. So I have the configurability capability with me. And the OpenFlow protocol is an open API that provides a standard interface for programming the data plane switches. And it is a protocol for remotely controlling the forwarding table of the switch or router, and is one component, one element of the SDN. So any element can be controlled. And it is implemented on Ethernet switches to allow the forwarding plane, that is data plane, to be managed by a controller present on the control plane in the SDN architecture. And the OpenFlow based controllers will discover and maintain an inventory of all the links in the network, and then will create and store all possible paths in the entire network. So after the network is running for some time, I know all the paths, and I can have lots of analytics based on the available paths or followed paths to understand which path is more preferred. And the OpenFlow protocol also can instruct switches and routers to direct the traffic by providing software-based access to the flow tables that can be used to quickly change the network layout and traffic flows as per users' requirement. So it's almost as dynamic as possible. It can be. It has the flexibility of making it that dynamic and that rapid. Okay, so OpenFlow controllers communicate with the control path or OpenFlow associated with the data path hardwares through OpenFlow protocol, SSL, or TCP, or anything can sit on top of it. And the OpenFlow switch and controllers, they can also be connected to the network in the almost similar manner. And an OpenFlow switch contain one or more flow tables that implement packet lookups and the forwarding. And an OpenFlow channel, so the switch has all the lookups and forwarding, and the channel to link to any external controller. So it can link to any external controller or any external component of the SDN. And this switch interconnects with the controller, and the controller directs the switch using the OpenFlow controller, OpenFlow protocol. The controller can in turn delete or add or update the flow entries in the flow table. So that's user requirement driven. So that's in our hand. So that prediction or estimation can be done by the availability of large previous history data sets. So, and on top of it, I can have an analytic tool, big data analytics, or some ML tool to come up with finding the best possible utilization of the resources, and both reactively, that is in response to packets, or proactively using the optical flow protocol. So both can be achieved by the OpenFlow switch and controller as well. And the controllers make this decision based on policies set by the administrator, or depending on the conditions of the network. So both are possible. So I can make it a hybrid. So it can for certain decisions, the administrator's choice, or in some other decisions, it can be a data demand driven. Okay, so and the decision it takes is forwarded to the floatable entries of all the switches and in the network. So the network gets to know what is happening, and I can have, in that way, I can have a centralized or distributed control available to me, where distributed control platform of large scale production networks can also be achieved through either centralized or distributed controller. So I can have more than one controller and controlling the functioning of different open flow switches or open flow controllers, or I can have multiple. I can have multiple controllers which are controlling the open flow switches. So the most most positive or favorable condition that we have here is the network table or lookup table for the flow can be modified depending on the administrator or based on the user requirements or the needs. Okay, so the generic architecture network for intrusion detection system is to come up with anomaly detection and engine that detects any occurrences of intrusion either online or offline, and pre-processing misuse detection approaches and matching mechanism which actually tracks the attacks and can be detected using anomaly-based approaches. And the other is malware monitoring. So this is the elastic loading balancer and network traffic switching SDN controller, which we discussed, and detectors of software inspects each packet received from and maintain the flow statistics, and the decision module that performs correlation between the flow to detect the attacks. Okay, so there are various possibilities, simplified models of architecture for intrusion detection system, which we know, but that can be easily mimicked in the SDN architecture, and the anomaly detection can be done using one or the other of these standard techniques. These are nothing new, so we just follow any of these techniques. And of course, the mitigation methods are something which can have lots of innovations, lots of intuitive intelligence can be inbuilt and made available to the whole of the system to make it more productive, more fault tolerant, and more more efficient. Yeah, that's what I can say. So yeah, so before I go, okay, so let me complete this. After this, I'll switch to another presentation which I was preparing, where some new things which we are working on have been discussed. Okay, so let us see the Iot security architecture for the SDN type of proposed approach. So I can have various types of sensors, as I told, so temperature sensor, air pollution, and so gateways and whatnot. So all are connected together. And say I can have even chemical analysis done, which is getting fed into one or the other components of the system. So these are various systems. Some of them are very synchronous, some of them are totally asynchronous, and I can have lots of combinations possible for my network, and then get the data fed into the system. So I have these are the edge nodes, and then I have the security apps. So I can have different types of security apps available for me to come up with anomaly detection, anomaly mitigation, and even the data pruning, and these together should work and provide me security level needed for the E2E security whatever it can, everything to everything. So collector module, anomaly detection module, and anomaly mitigation module. So collector module, this module collects the flow information and periodically exports them to the anomaly detection module. So that periodicity also can be made dynamic. So we can have flexibilities there. And from the SDN controller flow information, we can estimate the data per flow, so packets per second and bytes per second. So that gets into the next statistical analysis of managing the network. Anomaly detection module, for every time window, this module inspects all the flow entities and then entries, exposing any flow related network anomaly and identifying the potential attackers or victims of the attack. So we can understand the victims, but we are more eager to know, and the victims component is very crucial. So we want to avoid anything which tries to attack the data. So we have different components of the network data capturing devices, which need to be protected from different anomalies. And then the anomaly mitigation module, so this neutralizes the identified attacks. There are various mitigation approaches, and inserts flow meters in the flow table of the open flow switches, or removes the existing flows in order to block or mitigate the desired malicious traffic. So based on the attacks a system faces, we can have various approaches, and I just can elaborate some algorithm for evaluation. So there can be objectives 1 and 2, evaluate the performance of the algorithm that is capable of detecting the attacks, and to detect the ideal length of window or this standard deviations for which the error to be detected. So we can have the traffic malware analyzed, and then try to have the next thing or the next repeat done on the dynamic mode. And the methodology is modeling of dangerous flows. Bad flow is created with probabilities of 10%. So a bad flow can, but of course these are the outliers. Some of these can be good conditions also, but they have different properties. The number of packets per second are duplicated in comparison with the conformant flow, and packet flows are also increased, enhanced 50% or more, and comparison of obtained results with generated results, so false positive and false negatives need to be done. So we go for evaluation results and then come up with the decision. So some of the N sigma rules are followed here. So I should go to the other tab which I was telling I have for discussion with you. Yes. So once I have the SDN, okay, let me present this. Yeah, so once I can have the reconstructing the existing network infrastructure, which is where the switches of the low-level data collecting components are there. So anything and everything can be caught. And as we discussed, we have the limitations of the current network, so which are getting overcome by the use of this. Picture is very common, it's not anything new, but I just am placing this to show you the wide utility of the SDN approach, and they can actually be very, very flexible in terms of reconfigurable networks. at application level, at controller level, at data level, so or infrastructure. So you see the well-defined APIs, they are working in the application level, and then we have the control panel which connects the data level connections of the sensor level connections with the controllers, and then I have the forwarding tables at each of these data planes which are reconfigurable depending on either it is administrator driven or that is user data driven. So that type of flexible network functions can be implemented. So the top level can be used for network visualization or virtualization. Sorry. So network virtualization can be achieved by the APIs. The network map abstraction can be achieved by well-defined interfacing of the APIs. So APIs can be for security, for routing, for traffic management, or for any other management. And once these are abstracted, so I can have the control and the data planes. They are separated, so we can have both the northbound APIs and the southbound APIs via the open flow architecture. So in our vehicle, we have the legacy systems. So each ECU is composed of a legacy in-vehicle network, and the messages are generated or received, and universal adapters that encapsulate or encapsulate the ECUs of the generated and the received messages. So this is the normal architecture, but we are trying to use some software defined in-vehicle network which is designed, and this can go to communicate with the CAN bus, and CAN ECU messaging can be achieved in a very optimized manner. The only trouble here is about the time complexity, which is very critical. So we cannot take any chances or risks on the time. So we leverage on the SDN network's programmability feature to enable the resilience in autonomous vehicle wheeling, and we demonstrated that the software-defined in-vehicle networking, that is SDIVN, does not add overhead compared to the legacy in-vehicle networks under non-failure conditions. Of course, if there are failures, so the conditions change, and these are SDIVN are superior in case of ping failure and its time delivery of the messages. So on top of the SDN, we have SDIVN, which performs better, which has been seen to be performing better. So something like we have the CAN adapters. Here I can see 4 CANs, CAN 1, 2, 3, 4, and we have the open flow switches 1, 2, 3, 4. They are connected to the SDN controllers, fast followers applications, and then they can operate in different paths, and the paths are dynamically adjustable. So if you exchange in-vehicle messages and leverage the new proposed architecture of SDIVN. And this is another scenario which I was talking of. So I just do not have a single vehicle. These are all of them are very relevant and very upcoming research topics and areas. So I wish all of you should get motivated to attack these problems for your research. And there is huge scope of working on these autonomous, intelligent, IoT-based areas of implementation, keeping security, of course, in mind. So that is the field application component. So towards the seamless and ubiquitous vehicle to everything communication. So I have vehicle to vehicle, I have vehicle to pedestrian, I can vehicle to any infrastructure signals, vehicle to another network, or vehicle to cloud. So all these communications should be very, very ubiquitously done and very, very timely computed so that we get the benefit of each together. So the heterogeneous vehicular network architecture can be easily, implemented and can be simulated. There are lots of simulation tools. I would be willing to tell you another thing. See, the autonomous technology. The autonomous technology is in existence since last several years, but it is commercialized only in last couple of years back, maybe, but only in very, very specific locations. Why it is so? I want you all to start thinking about these aspects. So, the small components are very well defined, very rugged, very fault tolerant, very secure. But once I talk, so amongst them, so as I was telling, the autonomous vehicle has, or any autonomous system has to be situation aware, so it has to map itself. So where it calls for a SLAM. So SLAM is simultaneous localization and mapping applications, and that can be in 2D, 3D, that can be in a static dynamic environment. So lots of complexity goes inbuilt into those SLAM-based research of localization. Those need to integrate with the obstacles of on the path. It's not just a vehicle, it can be a motion of a manufacturing robotic arm or a machine tool or anything, or warehouse spaces, the robots working on stacking or rescues or airplanes or dockyards or army defense space, or you can talk of the International Space Station. So they also have need for autonomously moving vehicles or components. With the advent of I think some of you must be knowing that SpaceX is trying to take people to Moon, Mars, and whatnot. Only thing is they are very costly, but apart from the cost, the technology is also calling for real challenges in implementation. So once I try to integrate these components, the field applications become very challenging. So it becomes a heterogeneous system working together in a very cohesive manner, which is making it very difficult for vehicles of the next generation to work. So next generation research challenges in ITS, so Intelligent Transportation Systems architectures, or intelligent machine or robotics. So heterogeneous networking, big data, security, energy efficiency, safety and non-safety aspects of software-defined networks. So lots of challenges occur in all these cases, which you should focus on, and all of them are very interesting. So a topology of the architecture of software-defined heterogeneous vehicular network is shown here. Yeah, so that's it. With this, I end my presentation, and thank you for patient hearing. Dr. Shoikat, I am done, so I can take some questions, please.
Hello. So, sir, good evening, sir, and thank you very much for your illuminating talk. And you have started from a scratch also, and talk various things like what is IoT, then vehicles and other things, and SDN. So
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And I am not seeing any question answer. Prem, are you seeing any question answer?
Sir, one question just now at the chat box.
Oh, chat box.
Can
okay.
you see it, sir?
What are the
Sohik
data,
Sen Gupta.
sir? Can you able to see?
No.
So then I'll tell. what are the data attributes that could be analyzed for anomaly detection using statistical modeling or machine learning? Sir, again I am saying, what are the data attributes that could be analyzed for anomaly detection using statistical modeling or machine learning?
Okay, yeah. So actually, it's a very big thing that you have asked, and you can answer in a very small manner. It's one sort of
Sir, your voice is not audible.
my voice is not audible now.
It's okay.
Okay, so you have to know about the component that I want to analyze. So it depends on the small subsystem, and I fix the subsystem, I can fix the yeah. Next question.
Sir, Pratik Bhattacharya asked how the DDoS attack on IoT-based SDN can be prevented.
Denial of service, and this is DDoS. So as I was talking, that SDN can learn and can be utilized for improving the network from getting attacked. So there, of course, it's a new thing. It's still under research. So what I can tell you from my experience is, once I know that once I can capture some of the DDoS-based parameters, I can change the flow table. So I can change the flow path, so I can avoid the DDoS attack. Yeah, that's my hunch, but that needs research.
Sir, Abhijit Bose
is it making sense?
Sir, your voice breaking. Hello.
Okay. Is it all through breaking or?
No, now.
Hello.
No, sir. As you have on the video on, so I think for that reason the voice is breaking. Because...
Okay. Let me put the video. Yeah.
Sir, next is what are the simulation software used in IoT security?
Actually, I don't use any simulation software. I use for my particular components. Very less knowledgeable about available softwares in this arena. But I can get back to you. I can find it from others and get the answer back to Dr. Shankot. Normally, what my philosophy is, all these simulation tools or softwares which are commercially available, they are very, very costly, pretty costly. So we do not try to encourage the students to use those tools. Rather, we ask them to write their own codes and get it simulated and run the codes. Could you listen to me? Could you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So,
are there any questions?
Sir, no more questions is there.
Another Nimisha. How to create DDoS attack in RPI, sir? Last question.
Oh, sorry.
How to create DDoS attack in RPI?
How to create DDoS attacks? There are there are possibilities of defining a service table, and then I can create those service tables separately and randomize it for denial of a particular service. So that's not so difficult, but then so you have to just take a way around and get it done.
Okay, still this question has come. If any other questions are coming, I will be communicating to you. And they might be writing in the chat box. Prem, chat box will be, I mean, so some forum will be available.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We will have a discussion forum, and if we find any relevant questions, then we can take it, sir.
Yes, yes. So that will be doing to you and send it to you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Professor Devashish Chakraborty, for your illuminating talk.
Thank you. I actually wanted to take them to the actual field implementation type of, field robotics or field automation robotics cases, and the small aspects of security on use of SDN, which is very, very essential. And all components of intelligent systems need the IoTs. So that's how it is here. So anyway, I think I have done the justice to 1 hour, cover almost all of these aspects, each of which are really broad in sense. But yeah, I encourage students to get involved and do the research and get engaged. In case they need any further discussion, you can put them with us. We will be happy to help.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. So I may leave?
Yes, sir. Prem, sir can leave now, though. Yeah.
Thank
Okay,
you.
sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, so we'll be concluding today's session. Afterwards, there will be a link to the chat box, and you'll be getting around half an hour time to give the feedback of today's lecture. And and tomorrow's joining link also be shared. And you have asked for the PPT, and so for that purpose, we have given you the YouTube link over there, so you can see the lectures directly. So we'll be putting in your chat box, and you'll be getting around half an hour to fill it up the form. So now this is the time to wrap up, and I really appreciate our patron, Professor Soikot Maitro and Professor Siddiqui from both the University of MAKAUT and IUST Jammu Kashmir, and General Chair Professor Devashish De, Dr. Professor Sriyankar Acharya, and Advisory Board, our registered Dr. Parthaputim Lahiri, Dr. Devashish Giri, of our TechUp Coordinator, Professor H. Moon, TechUp Coordinator of IUST Jammu Kashmir, and Dr. Somdatta Chakraborty, IQAC Coordinator, Dr. Oktri Bhomi, Finance Officer, Dr. Mohammad Oftabuddin, Information Scientist, and our organizing committee member, Dr. Shantanu Fadikar, Dr. Kaushik Mojumdar, Dr. Mihir Singh, Dr. Romeo Kormokar, Dr. Subhanjan Sarkar, Shantanu Chatterjee, and Rupali Patua. And not last, not the least, but I have to congratulate the webinar team for that, making it possible, and especially Prem Kumar for helping all of us throughout the beginning. And tomorrow and another 4 days also will be having very encouraging and important talks for your FDP. So, and your chat box will be open and for half an hour to click it. Thank you very much from my side.
Second, sir. Hello, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. So we have provided the feedback link for today's session and the joining link for tomorrow's session. So we will be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. with a new topic, sir. So it is requested to all participants to kindly take note of the links, the feedback link and the joining link for tomorrow's session. That is day 2, tomorrow at 4 p.m. So please take note of the link. The links are available in the chat box. And we are about to end the session. So please note of the link